What's up, world? I'm Cameron McKinney, and this is Pop Culture Spotlight, a podcast about the movie Sentimental Value. Here's a quick synopsis. An aging filmmaker, Gustav Borg, tries to convince his daughter Nora to star in his next movie, and when she refuses, he hires a famous actress, Rachel Kemp. The film stars Renate Reinseve, Stellan Skarsgard, Elle Fanning, and Inga Ibsdotter Lilleaas. Standout performances. This movie, Sentimental Value, starts with Nora, played by Renate Reinseve, in a play, and it's one of the most thrilling openings to a movie. There's always a lot of talk about how modern movies try to grab your attention right away, and this movie does that and more, and it's mostly because of her performance. Reinseve is basically asked to portray stage fright, which can feel like a bit of a stereotype, but she plays it so real and raw that you feel just utterly terrible for her character. As for the rest of the movie, the character of Nora is at a distance from her father and super close to her sister. She's given an incredible emotional arc that I don't want to spoil. All I will say is I now fully understand why Renate Reinseve has become a real big deal actress in recent years. Reinseve will next be in the movies The Back Rooms with Chiwetel Ejiofor and Mark Duplass, and Fjord with Sebastian Stan, and I got to say the idea of seeing her with Stan has me beyond intrigued. Before I get into his work in Sentimental Value, I want to highlight my favorite performances from actor Stellan Skarsgard, the first being 1997's Good Will Hunting, where he plays illustrious math professor Jared Lambo, who aggressively tries to mentor Matt Damon's Will. You can definitely view him as the villain of the movie. His best scene is when he's having a breakdown and tells Will there are days where he wishes he never met him. That gets us to 2011's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, where he plays Martin Wagner, whose family is being investigated by journalist Mikkel Blomqvist. I like this movie more than most. Skarsgård is really scary in this film. I love his face-off with Daniel Craig. And finally, you have the underseen Borg McEnroe in 2017, playing Borg's coach, Lennart Berlin. His dynamic with Borg is all about how you have to be obsessed to be a great tennis player. I also like how their relationship evolves throughout the movie. What I'm trying to say here with these three performances, Stellan Skarsgård has been a great actor for a long time now. In Sentimental Value, he plays Gustav Borg, who has had great success as a movie director, but hasn't made anything in a while, and he's trying to make a new film while also trying to reconnect with his estranged family. This maybe gets said too much when it comes to movies, but I don't think another actor other than Stellan Skarsgård could have played this role. He brings a real mystery to the character. You don't know how sincerely he wants to reunite with his family or if he just wants to rejuvenate his career, but it's all revealed at the latter half, which I won't spoil, but that mystery is really a necessity for this movie. It keeps you on your feet. I've been on the Elle Fanning bandwagon since I saw her in Maleficent. She has a true movie star quality, which is why her playing a movie star in Rachel in this film makes a ton of sense. Rachel is a star planning to be in a movie, unlike the ones that she's used to being in. There was a time where I thought movies were wasting Elle Fanning's talent, but now in 2 years in a row, she's been in A Complete Unknown and Sentimental Value. And finally, you have Inga Ibsdotter Lilleaas, who plays Agnes, Nora's sister, who is left in the middle of the conflict between her sister and father, and in the meantime, she's really concerned about her sister Nora's well-being. I would say she's given the least to do of the main cast, but makes the most out of it. Sentimental Value is one of those rare movies where you could make a legitimate argument that any of the performances I just talked about are the best in the movie. Now let's talk about the film itself. One can look at Sentimental Value as a comment on the life of a filmmaker, but it's more than that. It's about anyone who prioritizes their job over family and what happens later in life. There's a great scene where Skarsgard's Gustav visits his old cinematographer and comes to a scary realization that he's on his own and that he himself is close to becoming like him. That's what's really so interesting about this character that Skarsgård is playing. He is becoming self-aware in real time. How you will end up feeling about the movie's Sentimental Value will all come down to how you feel about the movie's ending. I've heard some people be really down on the film's ending. I am not one of those people. I think it's one of the best endings of the year 2025, and I think it's one of the better recent endings. I would describe it as the ultimate cathartic ending. I think it's an ending all of the characters in the movie deserve. Sentimental Value is a movie that earns its ending, and it was an ending the movie was building towards. I mean, who am I to call a movie emotionally honest? But that is truly how I feel about Sentimental Value. I don't believe I would have connected to this movie if it was just about a guy being a filmmaker. Yes, I'm interested in movies. I'm interested in a guy who just wants to make movies. But what's more interesting to me is a guy who's obsessed with work, and that's why he's been estranged from his family. That is something that is relatable, especially when it comes to the regret that he has over the lost time with his family. And really, one of the biggest strengths of this movie is the structure of it. It is more than just the conflict between this father and his daughters. The movie is building towards something. There's something that the audience doesn't know that I'm not going to spoil that makes the whole movie come together. Like there was a real plan here for this to be a monumental movie. And this has to be said. This is one of those movies that is a perfect example of how you can make a family drama feel big. I mean, from that opening scene, I keep going back to that. Renate Reinseve is in the theater. That scene feels epic to me. I was fully in from the jump. I was like, this doesn't feel like a movie I've seen before. I mean, this is a movie where if you just read the synopsis, it might feel like a type of prestige film that we get every once in a while, but it is its own thing. It is wholly unique. And I would say it is a movie that benefits from the fact that it has well-known actors in them, particularly for me, Stellan Skarsgard and Elle. I have been watching these two for a long time now. I have a history of watching them in movies. So when I hear all of the chatter about how they're doing some of their best work in a film, you bet I'm going to go see that movie, and I'm probably going to be into it just because it's these two. I mean, that is the fun of watching movies, is having a history with an actor and then seeing that actor finally being celebrated. That is what is happening with Stellan Skarsgard. And that is the perfect transition for this Oscars. This movie, Sentimental Value, is a major contender. All four of the major performances were nominated. Reinseve for Best Leading Actress, Skarsgard for Best Supporting Actor, Fanning and Lilleaas for Best Supporting Actress. Joachim Trier was nominated for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay, along with co-writer Eskil Vogt. It's hard to say how many wins the movie will walk away with. The one category I'm confident in right now is Best Supporting Actor. It feels like it's going to be Stellan Skarsgard. The others in that category have already won. Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro. The only other actor I think that has a chance to win in that category is Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein. What is bound to bug me is I believe after he wins, there will be some people who say that Stellan Skarsgard is just getting this award as an honorary career achievement, and I think that is utterly ridiculous. This performance stands on its own. It is one of the best of his career and one of the best of the year 2025. I think it's going to end up being a great winning performance. Right now, we are at a place where almost everyone feels like they know how the Academy Awards are going to play out, that it's going to come down between one battle after another and Sinners for Best Picture. I like to imagine how wild the night would be if Sentimental Value won Best Picture. And I do want it on record, for as much as I love those two other films, I would not be upset to see it win Best Picture. It would be a great Best Picture winner in almost any other year. I do, however, think there would be real outrage to see this movie win Best Picture. But how surprising would it really be? I mean, the film had 4 nominated performances. I don't think it's going to happen, but I have to believe that it is the number 3 movie behind One Battle After Another and Sinners. Looking at it, it's crazy that the 2 movies that are like action epics are the ones ahead of Sentimental Value. I mean, in the 90s, I would think Sentimental Value would be the movie winning Best Picture. But in the year 2026, it's this weird political film starring Leonardo DiCaprio and this vampire movie starring Michael B. Jordan that is ahead of it. I mean, in some ways, those 2 movies are blockbusters, and Sentimental Value is the prestige movie that most people are used to seeing win Best Picture. And it is a very fair argument to make that it is the best thing for the Academy to award One Battle After Another and Sinners over Sentimental Value. Because for as much as I love the movie Sentimental Value, there has not been as much discussion surrounding the film as there have been for One Battle After Another or Sinners. I mean, those movies are in the cultural conversation. And I think that means something, and I think that should mean something. No, I don't automatically think a movie should win Best Picture just because it's the movie that everyone is talking about. But what should be a factor is the way that people are talking about the movie, and the way that people are talking about One Battle After Another and Sinners tells me that they are the movies of the moment, and Sentimental Value is just a smidge behind. Box office Sentimental Value has made $22 million on an $8 million budget. Now one hopes that because of these Oscar nominations, that the movie will go back into theaters and end up making more money. That is what the Academy Awards used to be for. A movie would get a Best Picture nomination, it would be at $22 million, then it would go back into theaters and make close to $40 million overall. Like, there would be a real surge because a movie was nominated for Oscars. I don't think people have that relationship with the Academy Awards anymore. I don't know that many people who know the 10 nominees for this year's Best Picture. I hate to say it, but I think the box office effect of the Academy Awards is gone from the culture. I think there will be some people who go and seek out Sentimental Value because it was nominated for Academy Awards, but I don't think they're necessarily going to go to movie theaters to see the film. That really is a bygone era. This is a bit silly to say, but I think one of the best things that is going to happen for this movie is that it's not going to win Best Picture. It not winning Best Picture means that people won't be upset by the fact that it won over the movies One Battle After Another and Sinners. That this movie will be given a chance. People will seek out this movie. I think this will become a beloved film as the years go on. And if it does end up winning Best Picture, we could be looking at another Shakespeare in Love. people so upset that their favorite movie of 2025 didn't win and this movie did. That is not the type of reputation you want. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think one battle after another is going to be the movie that wins Best Picture. I do want to talk more about Skarsgård potentially winning an Oscar because I think people talk about this all of the time, about how modern actors have to pick and choose between mainstream movies and Oscar-type films, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Zoe Saldana recently won an Oscar. She is in the biggest movies in the world. She's in the Avatar movies. She's in the Marvel films. I think Timothée Chalamet is about to win an Oscar. He's in the Dune franchise. He also played Wonka. And Stellan Skarsgard has been in the Pirate of the Caribbean films, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he was in Andor. He has been in giant franchise films, but he has never stopped also being in smaller indie films. That is the career that most actors should aspire to. Be in those bigger movies that everyone sees, but also still do really solid dramatic work in movies directed by auteur filmmakers. The days of choosing one or the other is over. I think you need to do both. I think that's why Paul Mescal was in Gladiator 2. He can't just be the guy from Normal People. He can't just do everything that's on brand. You need to be in those bigger movies to be relevant in a way. Skarsgård has been in those big franchise movies. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, but he's still being recognized as a great actor, and very soon he will be recognized as an Academy Award winning actor. I didn't even mention he was in Dune and Dune Part 2. I mean, the guy has been in a lot of big studio movies. I even like Antoine Fuqua's King Arthur because of Stellan Skarsgård. He is a guy who's been in a lot of movies that a lot of people have seen, and then also been in a lot of movies that not a lot of people have seen, but he's really good in everything. No one is discovering Stellan Skarsgård for the first time, but this is the type of movie and performance that can make you look back and go, wow, this guy has been so good for so long, and this just might be the best performance of his career. And of course, longevity plays a factor. I mean, I've been watching this guy for decades now. Good Will Hunting came out in 1997. I was a kid when he was in the Pirates of the Caribbean films. He's got a great voice that makes him the perfect choice to play the villain in any kind of movie, but he can also play a good guy as well. The man is beyond versatile. As a fan, I'm excited to see him win an Oscar. Sometimes the Oscars can be baffling with who they choose to give Oscars to, but then sometimes they pleasantly surprise you. They pick the right kind of guy to give the award to. Stellan Skarsgård is the right kind of actor. It makes sense that Stellan Skarsgård is going to be an Academy Award winner. There's not much else I can say about the movie Sentimental Value. There was a lot of hype surrounding this movie. I didn't really know what to expect. It more than lived up to that hype. I was fully blown away by it. The 4 performances are brilliant. The structure of the movie is what makes it work. Again, without spoiling the film, the movie takes some much needed sharp turns. It goes in some very unexpected places. And I just don't know what to tell people who are not on board with this movie's ending. It is cathartic. I loved the movie's ending. It might end up being my favorite movie ending of the year 2025. I'll end the podcast on this note. Elle Fanning is finally an Oscar-nominated actress, but she should have also gotten a nomination for 20th Century Women. I will never let that go. I still believe that is the best performance of her career. If you have not seen her in that movie, do yourself a favor and watch it immediately. I also think she probably should have been nominated for A Complete Unknown as well. Elle Fanning is one of my favorite actresses, and I'm glad that Sentimental Value has gotten her that long overdue Oscar nom. Thanks for listening to this edition of Pop Culture Spotlight. I'm Cameron McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I highly recommend you check out Sentimental Value. Next week on the podcast, I'm talking about Chloe Zhao's Hamnet, starring Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal. So tune into that, and please rate, review, and subscribe.